So in this week's video, we're actually down in eastern Romania. We've actually been on a scouting tour now for about 8 days, and we haven't filmed too much for the channel actually, but to be honest with you, it's been quite the challenge. I've been leading a small team of 3, and actually this is going to be more of a highlights video of what we've been doing. Next up is a bit of a summary of what we did in Moldova. We actually started with a 2-day sort of window in Chisinau. It was bad weather. We actually had freezing cold weather, -1, -2 on occasions. But we did get some great shots, especially externals, and we managed to nail a kind of Jewish cemetery synagogue. The plan was simple. Check out a few locations in Moldova, some of which I'd researched, shoot some, get inside, make contacts, and see if the country had any potential for a future photo tour. When we first arrived in Chisinau, after making the mad dash from the border, we found out that actually the weather was due to turn the following morning. So we had one evening of lovely light, followed by 2 days of torrential rain. We were also there on a weekend, which meant that things didn't work out exactly as planned. Access was denied, doors closed. Some of it was just because of this bad timing. Still, the trip wasn't totally wasted. I made a handful of good contacts and people I'll reach out to if I return. In places like this, trust takes time. Now, at least, the door is open for the future. Moldova is a place that doesn't hand itself over easily. It's quiet, understated, and still off most people's radar. But if you slow down, there's a lot to take in. We spent the weekend walking around the city of Chisinau, photographing some great exteriors. Above a bank, outside a car park, even an old apartment block with a worn facade. Colourful. Nothing too polished, just real spaces with character. The real highlight came unexpectedly, an abandoned synagogue in Chisinau. Getting in took a bit of explaining. It's not the kind of place you just walk into with a camera, but once inside, it was truly worth it. The space was raw, quiet, and full of history. It was also soaking wet, and we had troubles. Photographing this was difficult, with the rain pouring down with a missing roof. Faded Hebrew script on the walls, the synagogue was declared an historical monument in 1993, and restoration work actually started back in 2021, shoring up the walls. We worked around the rain, timing shots between showers, and while interiors weren't an option on this occasion, the food made up for it. Some great restaurants, and wine bars too. Next, after a mansion ruin and a couple of culture houses, we departed Moldova. We crossed into Romania once more to explore the famous monastery route in the north. I'd seen photos over the years and had very high hopes, but in reality, it was truly disappointing. The architecture is beautiful, no doubt, but these days there's a real hostility towards photography and photographers. Eventually, after multiple visits to different monasteries, we gave up and left the area completely. There's no point forcing it. If a place doesn't want to be photographed, you move on. And finally, you're now joining me here on location back in eastern Romania. We're actually starting the main tour tomorrow from Bucharest, and there's a bit of an incident in Heathrow Airport, so it means some of the people are delayed. We had a great day yesterday photographing a synagogue, and we followed that up with an old beautiful theatre in the heart of Galati. Now we've come a bit further down and we're actually photographing another disused synagogue. It's a beauty. So join me as I just wrap up this scouting tour with photography inside here. So coming in spaces like this for the first time is always a challenge, primarily because you don't really know what you're walking into. Yesterday we had this incident with a synagogue not far from here, where actually it was quite large, 3 tiers, huge balcony, and it was difficult to kind of line things up and get things right. In particular, the pews, the seating were a little bit wayward, a little bit off. This one's a lot neater, a lot easier to pull off. I particularly love the dome up above, so I'm going to look to try and capture shots from the 17mm initially, and hopefully we can make this look fairly nice. Now I've got to work quite quickly, primarily because the windows over here are putting off some nasty light, harsh lighting, and it's going to get worse as the morning progresses. Finally, we've got some sunshine on our time here in Romania, which is good. Somebody's tripod's here, let's steal it. Frame of this one. Yesterday's synagogue was much more challenging than this. This is a simple square box really, similar to kind of chapels that you would get in Wales back in the UK. Very simple to photograph, to be honest with you, and mostly It's about maintaining and controlling that lighting throughout the scene. The lighting is actually quite cool, it's quite dramatic. Harsh on the right hand side, but I've managed to capture the 5 brackets that kind of make it pop. I'm going to do the top section. I've got many options here. Portrait orientation. It's hard to sway away from portrait orientation images when they give off such a nice vibe. When I get access to a place like this synagogue, especially through a local contact, my mindset shifts. I'm not here to explore freely or to shoot everything in sight. I focus on getting one strong, respectful main shot and then maybe a second. The goal is to nail those so I have something solid to show and hand over if required. It's about trust. Someone let me in, maybe bent the rules a little, maybe stuck their neck out. So I work fast, try to stay quiet and make sure I leave with something that feels considered. If the place turns out to be special and the contact seems open and there's a chance I can come back, on that second visit is where I then take my time, maybe try some new angles, slow down. But first, you have to earn it. These spaces aren't just locations, they mean something to someone and I try not to forget that. When you walk into places like this for the first time, you've really got to try and think about your time on site. I don't want to overstay my welcome in here, and this is the first point of contact with these people, so I want to leave a fairly good impression. In here, it is difficult to kind of make sure we're nailing composition, so I'm making sure I'm walking around my tripod, make sure it's in a good position, and more importantly, just want to nail those 2 clean compositions. So when you walk into a place for the first time, my key objective, like I'm saying, is to get 1 or 2 compositions. That can happen easily for me by actually just taking 1 set of raw bracketed files, top, middle and bottom, focusing on the ceiling, and then in Lightroom what I can actually do is do a virtual copy and make 2 different compositions, 2 different versions with 2 different crops, make 2 images. I do this quite a lot to save time on site. I'm talking about being respectful and not being noisy, but actually I'm doing voiceovers here because somebody is literally being as noisy as possible. When these places have been closed for a while and they walk in themselves for the first time after a period of time off, they do tend to start doing maintenance in the background as you're trying to film, shoot or talk to a microphone. Never mind, we got our shots and this is what it looks like. Okay, so that pretty much wraps me up for today. Kind of some key objectives for you when I enter these spaces for the first time, and a bit of a summary video about what we've been doing scouting this week in Moldova and eastern Romania. It's been challenging, interesting, but we've had some great results in the last 2 days. Now, just left is the 3-hour drive back to Bucharest, and the main tour starts tomorrow. Meaning we've got lots to do with video content throughout the week, and it should be a cracker. So I hope you've enjoyed those images from Moldova. I hope you've enjoyed here in the synagogue. Let's get driving, let's get to Bucharest, and I'll see you all next week.